It's interesting to consider the intrigues of defence intelligence, i.e., the British military intelligence capacity operating out of Warminster military base, and their guns for organs operation with Kurdish militants, which is also backed by a drugs for organs operation whereby the defence intelligence networks supply synthetic compounds synthesized in such laboratories as Porton Down laboratories and provide these drugs as a chemical weapon to Kurdish militants to utilize in their own conflicts. So it's interesting to consider, and then organs are transferred to Warminster military base and then are handed over to Devizes police, who transport the organs to Walter Rose and Sons butcher shop, where they are then transported to Albanian warehouses in Swindon and sold on the dark web by Romanian mobsters. So it's all very interesting indeed how all of this interconnects. Indeed, Warminster's military intelligence capacity, i.e. the Defence Intelligence Services, have basically employed the entire town of Warminster to basically test me / mind control experiment on me, whereby Defence Intelligence are attempting to break me. Indeed, it's a situation reminiscent of what happens to Patrick McGowan's character in the 60s series The Prisoner. Indeed, it seems like the entire town of Warminster have been employed by Defence Intelligence for some sort of purpose to basically destroy me. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, my exposures before came too close to exposing the organ trade centered around Walter Rose and Sons butcher shop in Devizes, and now I see interconnectivity between that black market network and the guns for organs and drugs for organs operations of Defence Intelligence operating out of almost a military base. So it's interesting to consider how all of this interconnects. Romanian and Albanian mobsters, Kurdish militants, Wiltshire police, Wiltshire military intelligence operatives, and a load of butchers. So it's all very interesting to consider how all of this interconnects. Indeed, all of this is overseen by British military linked industries, interestingly. Indeed, it's interesting to consider that this has very high levels of backing this organ traffic operating throughout Wiltshire. Indeed, it's all very interesting to consider this, and really quite concerning that the level of interconnectivity of this black operation, which is foremost a British intelligence operation coordinated through proxies such as Devizes police, the Romanian and Albanian mobs, various other networks of local criminals, such as the ones I always used to spot hovering around outside Walter Rose and Sons butcher shop. It's very interesting to note that Ed Giles of Rose's Ironmongers regularly used to convene with these criminals. So it's interesting to consider. Indeed, Ed Giles is fully knowledgeable about the organ traffic and is indeed partially responsible and holds a stake in the organ traffic. Indeed, Ed Giles is one of the 49 elders of Devizes and is very close to the Aplin family patriarch, Stephen Aplin, who is responsible for a lot of suffering of mine over the years. So it's interesting to consider. Indeed, there are elements of personal grudges involved in my exposure of the Walter Rose and Sons butcher shop network. However, this is to be expected considering the treatment I've received from many Devizes and Caen residents associated with the Walter Rose and Sons butcher shop organ harvesting and organ trafficking syndicate. So it's all very interesting indeed. I believe that with every video I upload, defense intelligence, i.e., the Warminster military intelligence capacity, are getting more and more angry as I am under total surveillance from Warminster military intelligence and their networks of residents. So it's interesting to consider they're attempting to break me and formulate a plan whereby they can murder me and dispose of my body without anyone noticing. So it's all very interesting to consider. Local felines are also employed by defense intelligence, which is basically running everything in this town. Indeed, defense intelligence are interlinked themselves with various industries, operating schemes that interweave with the organ traffic. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, Walter Rose and Sons butcher shop is a high-profile operation, therefore receives license to operate from the Cecil family. Indeed, Robert Gascoigne Cecil is the head of the Secret Intelligence Services, i.e. MI6, and also has jurisdiction over MI5, i.e. the security services of the United Kingdom. So it's interesting to consider. I am going up against the Cecil family, which may not be the wisest idea, as the Cecil family have licensed the Lighthouse network to lobotomize me. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, it's all rather strange, and here I am stuck in this military town where everybody is employed by defense intelligence, i.e. the military intelligence capacity operating out of Warminster military base. Everybody knows about what's going on with me. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, the Warminster locals are operative for defense intelligence. It's that simple. So it's interesting to consider. Even the local roadmen are employed in this capacity also. The only people who aren't are a handful of drug addicts. So it's interesting to consider this. It's literally just a handful of drug addicts who are not employed by the Warminster military intelligence capacity. Indeed, this is a good thing, because I can build very small networks here. So it's interesting to consider. The local felines are cautious because of what they're told about me being a Russian agent. However, I believe this fallacy should break soon. Indeed, I'm a mental patient. I am not operating for the Russian Federation. Indeed, the Russian Federation have kill orders on me, and indeed are interconnecting with defense intelligence for a final strike. Indeed, they've been asking defense intelligence for authorization to take me out in a combined hit of the GRU and the Mossad. So it's interesting to consider. Indeed, defense intelligence does have interconnectivity with the GRU, despite the supposed problems between the United Kingdom and Britain. Indeed, there is interconnectivity because of criminal syndicates overlapping, which is all very interesting to consider. Indeed, Mossad have a stake in the organ traffic also, as they always have done. Indeed, the Mossad are notorious for running organ operations, especially in Europe and America. So it's all very, very interesting to consider. Hang on. I do not know if the local felines are actually all employed by defense intelligence, but I believe they believe that I am a Russian operative, which I am not. I am not a Russian operative. I am operating for myself. Indeed, I believe that my so-called Russian operations, i.e. my time as a GRU hitman, is actually a screen memory, and that British intelligence programmers have been tinkering with my brain, the same way they tinkered with my brain to convince me that I was a Nazi. When I wasn't, they are now convincing me that I am a Russian, when I'm not. So it's interesting, you can see over the course of this video diary the amount of mind control programming that has been inflicted on me, most probably by British intelligence operatives, especially Wiltshire Police and Defence Intelligence. Indeed, I believe that I have been programmed by Defence Intelligence on numerous occasions as part of the Mindgate program. And all of this interconnects with my designation TF-84 as an experimental test subject in the Roundway experiment. So it's interesting how all of this links up, and the interconnectivity of the British intelligence services, the British security services, British military intelligence capacity, and the Wiltshire Police Department. Also, I believe I have undergone a certain amount of programming from Special Branch, especially by a man called Douglas Winter, who was basically programming me to become a neo-Nazi, and then operating full-scale surveillance on me as a suspected domestic terrorist. So this guy, Douglas Winter, is operative for networks that interconnect with defense intelligence. Indeed, it's interesting how basically all of these people have totally fucked with my head and then blame me. So it's interesting to consider that I'm being scapegoated by Wiltshire Police. Indeed, Wiltshire Police are attempting to make me out to be some sort of abuser when I am not, and they know I am not. So it's interesting to consider what Wiltshire Police will do to protect their enterprise. Indeed, a lot of this seems to be the protection of the Walter Rose and Sons Butcher Shop Syndicate, which is now deemed an issue of national security. Indeed, this organ harvest brings in a revenue of £4 to £6 billion a year. So it's interesting to consider this revenue from just this one shop, Walter Rose and Sons Butcher Shop, brings in £4 to £6 billion a year in revenue for the British Defence Intelligence black budget. So it's all very interesting to consider. This Walter Rose and Sons Butcher Shop operation seems to be overarchingly a defence intelligence operation rather than traditional MI5 or MI6 currents. Indeed, this makes sense as the Walter Rose and Sons Butcher Shop is located in Wiltshire. Wiltshire is a major county for defence intelligence operations. Indeed, seems like a lot of things that have happened to me over the past 12 years have been due to interference in my life from defence intelligence. So it's interesting to consider. Indeed, Douglas Winter, although he is a special branch operative, is employed as a contractor by defence intelligence. So it's interesting how all of this interlinks. And I've just had one of those moments where everything suddenly seems to make sense. So it's all very interesting to consider. These fuckers have tinkered about with my brain and fucked my head up completely, and then attempt to scapegoat me and blame me for everything. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, Devizes police have apparently issued a warrant for my arrest under an Article 48A of some sort of legislation. Basically concludes that I am some sort of really terrible human being and therefore need to be taken off the streets. So it's interesting to consider the lengths that these baby rapists of Devizes police will go to attempt to frame and scapegoat me and try and make me out to be what they are, i.e. serial rapists of children. So it's all very interesting to consider that Devizes police are attempting to arrest me under legislation for something I haven't done. So it's all very, very interesting to consider. Indeed, the precincts are going crazy. Every video that's made, Devizes police are getting more and more angry. Indeed, they are so confused now that they can no longer utilize their usual charades, such as accusing me of being a far-right activist, or a Russian operative, or an Israeli agent, which are their usual attempts to basically destroy me. Indeed, they cannot utilize any of these agendas anymore. So they are resorting to dirty tricks, attempting to cast me as a deviant, which is all very interesting considering the entire strength of Devizes please are all deviants. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, it's all very annoying indeed. So I'm located in this garrison town where the Defence Intelligence Services are running their own organ trades. And of course, there is also C.J. Robbins, the butcher shop in Warminster, that directly interconnects in terms of the circuit with Waterrose and Sons of Devizes. Indeed, C.J. Robbins are a branch of the Emporium that runs Waterrose and Sons butcher shop. Apparently, there is a corporation running these select butcher shops in Wiltshire, an Emporium that basically coordinates the activities of the butcher shops in terms of their targeting of victims and their harvesting of the organs that are then sold via Albanian mafia proxies handling the organs. They are then sold by Romanian black marketeers on the dark web, usually to Russian sources. Indeed, most of the organs end up in Russia, but some end up in Tel Aviv, Istanbul, and Brussels, i.e. NATO territory. So, well, Brussels is NATO territory, you get what I'm saying. Indeed, it's all very interesting to consider the main locations of the organs are Russia, Tel Aviv, Istanbul, and Brussels. So it's all very interesting to consider this ongoing organ traffic that is existing here in Wiltshire, which is completely known about by the Wiltshire Police networks. Indeed, the entire Wiltshire Police strength most probably knows about the organ traffic. Indeed, Waterrose and Sons butcher shop is on the same street as Devizes police headquarters. Indeed, every time I was wandering around there, these criminal elements, who didn't really look like much, would come out and try to intimidate me. Indeed, this happened on numerous occasions, and I'd always see Ed Giles of Rose's Ironmongers, who is one of the 49 elders of Devizes, conversing with these criminal elements. Indeed, he was fully aware of what they're up to, and he was making a handsome profit from the organ harvest, coordinated by the Devizes butchers. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, it's all a very strange saga, what is going on in Devizes. Indeed, the youth all want to grow up to work in the butcher's shop because it's considered the ultimate gangster thing to do is to work in the butcher's shop. But this is a police ring, coordinated and protected by Devizes policemen, operating on the same street as Devizes police headquarters. This isn't real gangster behavior. This is policeman behavior. So it's all very interesting to consider and really quite amusing for me to watch all these so-called Devizes gangsters, who are themselves a network of confidential police informants, all wanting to work in this butcher's shop. That's enough to make anyone a little bit suspicious. Indeed, all these seedy criminal elements hanging out who are imported from other areas of the county. Indeed, this network, known as the Black House Gang, want to take out a hit on me, but are having trouble finding a hitman. So it's all very interesting to consider the Black House Gang, coordinated by Stuart Blackhouse, are operative from Amesbury, supposedly. Indeed, it's interesting to consider what is going on all around here on Salisbury Plain. And of course, all the Druid network sacrificing children in the forests in the night time. So it's all very interesting to consider exactly what is going on. Wiltshire is a really murky place, and there are things going on that you would not believe until you have watched this channel. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, Warminster military intelligence capacity, defence intelligence operative, are attempting to break my will and cause me chaos in my mind. Therefore, I would reveal myself to be a Russian operative. However, this isn't actually the case, so this isn't actually going to happen because I'm not a Russian operative. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. I'm going to leave it there now. Hope it stops bloody raining soon.